French doctors propose on live TV using Africans as guinea pigs for COVID-19 treatment. Two French doctors have been accused of racism after calling for coronavirus vaccines to be trialed in Africa on a French live TV channel called LCI. Jean-Paul Mira, head of intensive care at Cochit Hospital in Paris, and Camille Lodge, head of research at the INSAM Health Research Group, both said on French TV that there are cases for testing out the vaccines in African countries. The pair faced swift backlash online, with many saying the comments were racist, rude, and disrespectful. Here is what was exactly said. Dr. Mira, if I can be provocative, should we do this study in Africa where there are no masks, no treatments, no resuscitations? A bit like it has been done in some studies in AIDS, where among prostitutes we try things because they are exposed. And don't they protect themselves? What do you think? Dr. Locke, you are right. We are thinking in parallel to do a study in Africa precisely to make the same type of approach. BCG placebos, vaccines. I think there's a call for tenders that was released or will be released. And I think we will indeed seriously think about doing that.
Peace, family. This is African Esquire TV, and I'm your host, Tony Cherie. I wanted to get on here very quickly and discuss a story that's going on and circulating all over social media regarding some French doctor who was interviewed by another Frenchman and essentially said that he believes that the COVID-19 vaccine should first be tested on Africans. And a lot of people are upset about this. Obviously, it's racist. Obviously, it's something that should be concerning to hear. But I guess the angle I wanted to take at this is that we have to understand that this is the type of thing that has been happening in Africa and throughout the diaspora for centuries. Even in the diaspora, if you're someone who lives somewhere in the diaspora, for example, in the United States, you go places where Black people live. You might go on a public transit and you might see some type of advertisement saying, we want to test this drug on you. We know who they're targeting. They're targeting us. A lot of the type of testing that goes on for medical procedures and whatnot, a lot of times they're trying to entice Black people to be the guinea pigs. Now, we know there was a time where that happened explicitly in the United States, where there was things like the Tuskegee experiment, but now they have to try to find ways to do it implicitly, such as advertise things and say, we're going to give you money for actually undergoing some type of medical procedure that could hurt you down the line. And technically, it's supposed to be a fair trade because, hey, you're getting money. You agreed, you signed the dotted line. Therefore, we are giving you compensation for something that could destroy your health in the future. Now, I am very sure that the same thing happens in Africa without even having a document proving it. I'm very sure that this has been happening because the fact is, whenever you have a population of people who are not organized, who are not protected because they're not organized, that leaves you open to any type of foreign interference, any type of foreign manipulation, any type of testing to be done on your people. And knowing the fact that there are drugs that are always circulated, drugs that are always being sold, knowing the fact that there are always people who are looking for a place to test drugs on, I am absolutely sure that this has happened before, that there has been situations, whether they may have not told the people up front what they were doing, or maybe they did, and seeing that the people were so in such a state of economic desperation, they were willing to take some very minimal payment in order to be tested on. These are things that have been happening. These are things that continue to happen. And the reason why I want to do this video is because I wanted to just let this be a warning to my people throughout the diaspora, throughout the continent. This is what happens when we're not organized. We leave ourselves open to anyone to come in and do what they want with us. And the fact is, as much as we might try to protest whenever one of us is killed unjustly, whether it be by a white police officer, whether it be by some type of person who just felt like they could claim the right to self-defense for killing you, whenever we are killed, we are not in a position to feel safe or to feel like that type of killing could even have retribution because we're not organized. And I would just say this to my people, that we have to take organization seriously. As serious as it is to you that you could be targeted by something like this, that you could be targeted by a murderous police officer and that person not have any ramifications for causing harm to you or your family, that's what we have to understand what we're dealing with. When we say we're not organized, this is not a passive thing. This should be a very alarming reality to us. It should be very alarming that our people are left vulnerable. Let's be real. We are living at the mercy of white supremacy. We are living at the mercy of us. If they wanted to wipe us out, what would be the ramifications? Let's be honest. If they said, you know what, we're going to wipe out the entire Black community in America. Let's just start with that. They wanted to say, we're going to wipe out the entire Black community in America. What would be the ramifications? Who's going to stand up for us? We know that Africa is not free. We know that Africa, unfortunately, is ran by puppet regimes that are being bought for and paid by the Western governments. And we know that those are the people who are not in a position to advocate for us because they are not organized themselves. So who's going to speak up for us? We know that the same thing happens in the Caribbean. We know that the Caribbean is not free. We know that Afro-Latino countries are not free. We know that all of the places where Black people are, that we are not free. So again, if they wanted to do something like that to us, what would be the ramifications? Oh, okay, it might have to have a negative public perception and whatnot, but I'm sure there'd be some clever way to convince the international community that we were a threat. The same way that they dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and this was a civilian population, not even a military population, a civilian population, two civilian populations in Japan dropped an atomic bomb, wiped out these people. And for some reason, the international community goes along with it. You know, despite the fact that the United States lectures other countries and tells them, you're not in a position to have an atomic bomb. And the common sense answer to that would be, what puts you in the moral position to tell me what I'm in a position to have when you were the only country in the world to actually use an atomic bomb? But this is the type of international manipulation that power can actually do. When you have the power, you can change the dialogue. And so I say that to say, if they wanted to do that, I'm sure they could create a dialogue around it. I'm sure there could be long dissertations on why the Black community had to be wiped out. And I'm not saying this is happening. I'm just giving an example to say that if that were to ever come to be the case, understand that there's no ramifications for that. Similarly, if we go to any type of African country on the continent, let's say one random day it's deemed in the best interest to completely wipe out or to drop an atomic bomb on the country of Zimbabwe. If that were to happen, what would be the ramifications? There would be none, because we're not organized. The Black people in America were not organized to affect change. We're not even organized to protect ourselves. The Black people on the continent of Africa, they're not organized. Like I said, there are times where the West will go into Africa and do experiments on people, will go into Africa and put businesses inside of communities that are going to flood those communities with pollution, do all types of things that are causing the loss of human life, and there are no ramifications because we're not organized. So this is just a brief video to say that understand these are the things that happen when you're not organized. And I would hope that we start taking this organization issue seriously. That is to say that we take it so seriously that we prioritize it like we prioritize going around in our daily life and maybe getting food or getting water or going to work. We need to have organization on our minds, like those basic functions that you need to live, because guess what? That is a basic function that you need to live. Understand, again, when you're living at the mercy of white supremacy, you should have no comfort with that. You should have no peace with that. You should not feel okay living and dying like that and leaving your children to inherit the same future. This should be something that's pressing to us. And so what I mean by get organized, there are different levels of organization. I did a video recently saying every single Black person, if you are Black, you need to be in an organization. I reiterate that, and that for those of us who are in organizations, we have to build coalitions. That is to say that even if we don't agree with each other on everything, and I certainly don't agree with every Black organization, but that is to say that those things that we do have commonalities on, those things that we do agree on. For example, I would hope if you're a Black organization that you agree that Black people should not be killed indiscriminately by the police. If you're a Black organization, I would hope that you agree that Africa should not be ran by outside forces. These are certain things that we can all agree on and that we can all organize under. So not just joining an organization, but our organizations moving to build coalitions so that we can push our common agenda and ensure that our people are commonly protected. And in this instance, there should be coalition forming around the idea that Black people should not be used by outside entities, whether it's for medical testing, whether it's for environmental pollution, whatever. We should not be the commodity that the international community uses and abuses whenever it sees fit. So those are the types of things that you can do from a position of power, and you can't do from a position of begging. And begging or telling the West, hey, or telling France, hey, this is wrong. How could your doctor say that? It's not saying anything from a position of power, because that just means, okay, we apologize. I'm sure there will be an apology issue, but behind the scenes, understand that those same conversations, they'll just make sure that it's not said out loud inside of the public. They'll make sure to continue them behind the scenes where none of you have the power or the ability to even speak out. So understand that this is what the game is. We've been playing it for this long. We've been the victims of it for this long. Let's wise up so that we can actually have a chance at being a people who actually owns our own destiny and are not at the mercy of the people who have no care of what happens to us or no care of our destiny. So that's all I have to say about this, you guys. What are your thoughts? I'll say specifically, what are your thoughts on the fact that this is an option to other people, that, hey, we have something that we don't want to use it on us. Let's go to Africa. Let's go to the Black community. Let's go to them and let's use it on them, and probably throw them some dollars or cents, or we'll hide it from them completely, like they did in the Tuskegee experiment. What are your thoughts on the fact that we're so in a position that we can't protect ourselves, that these people are bold enough to say these things on national television? So I'd love to hear your thoughts, you guys. I will see you all in the next video.